Ever since the debacle of Superman 64 on the Nintendo 64, one thing that has been notoriously difficult for games to get right, for games to make fun, is flight. Moving in 360 degrees in three-dimensional space can be confusing and disorienting. Rotating the camera can put the ground above you, or have you moving backwards without the player even realizing it. So it is not surprising that the games that best deliver on feelings of flight achieve this effect by aggressively limiting your movement while presenting the player with visuals that evoke the idea of flying. Asteroids, the classic arcade game, feels like flying through space, but you are actually moving around two axes on a flat plane. Space Harrier and Star Fox look like you are flying forward through the air, but again, it is two-dimensional movement on a flat plane. The two genres of bullet hell games, Gradius and Ikaruga, also two axes, while sliding stuff on a flat plane. When we get more complex with a game like Robotech and Zone of the Enders, movement is limited by keeping the player oriented upright. The x-axis does not wobble, so the ground stays below you. In the more flight simulator-like games, like Ace Combat, you can rotate in all sorts of directions. However, movement is always grounded, so to speak, by always moving forward. Even though these are all limits on the range of motion, they all manage to deliver on challenges that make that movement interesting. Avoiding incoming attacks, positioning yourself behind an enemy with the same capabilities, but these are more of an external challenge. These are evolutions on sliding around the grid. Because the gameplay focus is on avoiding objects, they are not focused on making flight through three-dimensional space interesting. Remember a little while back when a student project game blew up the internet for answering the question, what if Superman 64 was good? It was called Undefeated, featuring fast 360-degree movement. The challenge came from hitting certain checkpoints as quickly as possible. It was a time attack game about getting from point A to point B, or hitting a certain number of targets, but did it actually feel like flying? To a certain extent, a game like this feels more like I am staying still while I move the world around a stationary character. Yet, we live in a world where Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Odyssey prove that movement alone can make for interesting gameplay. Jumping can be tons of fun, and flying is just better jumping, so shouldn't flight be even more fun than jumping? Well, recently I played a game that showed me that I have been thinking about this problem backwards. Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush is a unique physics-based take on flight. Rather than trying to raise the player character up in any direction, you choose the direction you want to go and then fall in that direction until you run out of stamina. Then you can fall in the regular direction until the stamina recharges. At first, this feels entirely chaotic and janky. Flying in other games is easy, while falling is hard. but it was fun to see how much chaos these powers caused. So I kept playing. I quickly learned to be more comfortable in the chaos, and eventually to skillfully manipulate the various falling abilities. But every single fall required careful and constant engagement to work, so it finally clicked. The fun of flying is not about how you get up, but about how you can fall with style. Whether talking about gliding in Zelda Breath of the Wild or Warframe, double jumping in Mario Odyssey, calling out to the cloth doggos in Journey, or changing the angular momentum of swings in Spider-Man PlayStation 4. Every good kind of flying in a game has resistance in the form of constantly being pulled back down. It is in developing your use of different ludic elements to deny that resistance do players then feel like flying. Once we develop the skill necessary to completely mitigate the constant resistance, only then does the movement feel fun. The fun is not in getting from A to B quickly, but in being constantly engaged on the path. And that's not just a good lesson for a game, that's a good lesson for life. Thank you for watching, subscribe to the channel, and maybe consider buying my books. And as always, stay true.